Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
I'm 28 years old and have a heart condition that developed after a bad case of the flu 3 years ago. It left me with something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. My heart rate goes crazy when I stand up or do normal activities, and I can pass out without warning. It's invisible, which means people assume I'm perfectly healthy just by looking at me. My doctor recommended I get a service dog, and that's how I met my girl, a 115-pound cane corso. That's not your typical service dog breed. Most people expect a golden retriever or German shepherd. She was actually my pet first, and when my condition got worse, a trainer helped me realize she had all the right instincts. She naturally started alerting me when my heart rate spiked, and with proper training, she learned to do deep pressure therapy and mobility assistance. She's been my lifesaver for 2 years now. So there I was last Tuesday, just trying to grab some groceries. I had my lunch with me, just a sandwich, and was eating while I shopped. My dog started doing her alert behavior, nudging my leg and getting persistent. I figured she just wanted some of my sandwich, so I ignored her. Big mistake. About 10 minutes later, I felt like the world was spinning. My heart was racing, I couldn't catch my breath, and I knew I was about to hit the floor. I made it to a quiet corner near the pharmacy and sat down hard. My dog immediately went into action, putting her full weight across my lap for deep pressure therapy. I must have been there for about 10 minutes when a Walmart employee came over. She asked if I was okay and if I needed her to call someone. I told her I thought I was fine now and just needed a moment. I thanked her for checking on me. She brought me a free bottle of water, which was really sweet. I was starting to feel better when I heard screaming from a few aisles over. There was a little girl, maybe 6 years old, having what looked like a meltdown. She was covering her ears and pointing at my dog while crying. I felt bad for the kid. My dog is big and can look intimidating if you don't know her. The girl's mother came over, and I remembered seeing them before on a previous shopping trip. The mother apologized and explained that her daughter has autism and is terrified of big dogs. I told her it was no problem at all and that I understood. I offered to move to a different area if that would help. The mother seemed reasonable that first time, so I figured she'd just take her daughter to another part of the store. Instead, I watched as she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. I was shocked as she talked to the dispatcher. She told them she needed police at the Walmart on Main Street because there was a woman here with a fake service dog. She claimed I was disturbing customers and shouldn't be allowed to bring that animal around food. I was still recovering from my episode sitting on the floor with my clearly marked service dog, and this woman was calling the cops on me. The police arrived about 15 minutes later. 2 officers walked over, and before they could even assess the situation, the woman launched into her tirade. She told the officers that I was obviously faking a disability because I looked too young to be disabled. She insisted that my dog wasn't even a real service dog breed and that I was just bringing my pet into the store illegally. She claimed it was traumatizing her autistic daughter. I stayed calm and reached into my bag for my documentation. I handed the officers my medical letter and my dog's service animal identification. While they reviewed my paperwork, Karen wasn't done. She went on about how this was exactly the problem with people like me. She made racist comments about foreigners coming here and abusing the system. She blamed people like me for causing all the lockdowns she had to deal with. She said I should stay home and keep that dangerous animal locked up where it belongs. I'm Asian, and her racist comments hit hard, but I tried to stay focused on the situation. After reviewing the documentation, one officer told her that this was a legitimate service dog and that I had every right to be here with my animal. Karen insisted that was impossible and kept pointing out that I looked young and healthy. She said that dog was way too big to be a service dog. The other officer explained to her that disabilities aren't always visible and that service dogs come in many breeds. He confirmed that the documentation was valid. By now, the Walmart manager had arrived after hearing about the commotion. He asked what the problem was, and one of the officers explained that this lady had called them because she believed the service dog was fake, but they had verified everything was legitimate. Karen became even more outraged. She demanded that the manager remove me from the store and claimed my dog was a monster that was causing her daughter to have a panic attack. The manager said he had been briefed on the situation and that I had a legitimate service animal and was welcome in the store. However, he told Karen that her behavior was disruptive to other customers and that he would have to ask her to leave. Karen turned bright red. She yelled that he couldn't kick her out and that she was the victim. She threatened to call corporate and the news, saying everyone needed to know how this store discriminates against families with disabled children. The manager told her she was free to contact whoever she wanted, but that she needed to leave the premises now. The officers stepped in at this point. One of them told Karen that she had called 911 for a non-emergency and had been disrupting the peace. He said they were issuing her a warning for misuse of emergency services and that if she didn't leave voluntarily, they would have to escort her out. Karen gathered her crying daughter in her cart, complaining loudly as she headed toward the exit. She complained about discrimination and said that we people always stick together. She made nasty comments about her taxes, probably supporting my fake disability checks. One officer had enough and told her that was enough. He warned that she needed to leave now or she would be arrested for disturbing the peace. When she finally left, she turned back one more time and threatened that I would hear from her lawyer. She said she was posting about this on Facebook and that everyone would know what kind of place this was. After she was gone, the manager came back over to me. He apologized for what I had to go through and asked if there was anything else he could do for me. I thanked him for handling the situation and said I just wanted to finish my shopping and get home. He told me that I and my service dog were always welcome there. The officers checked on me once more before leaving. They asked if I was feeling better and if I needed any medical assistance. I told them I was much better and that my dog had helped me through the episode. One of them complimented my dog and said she was a good girl. They both apologized that I had to deal with that situation. When I finished my shopping, several other customers came up to me. One said she had seen what happened and that the woman was completely out of line. Another customer told me my dog was beautiful and that she could tell my dog was working and taking care of me. It restored some of my faith in people after such an awful encounter. 3 days later, I was back at the same Walmart when the manager found me. He said he wanted to update me on what happened with that woman from Tuesday. He told me she had called corporate like she threatened. I asked what corporate said, worried about the outcome. He explained that she had demanded I be banned from all Walmart stores and wanted corporate to change their service animal policy. She had also claimed she was going to sue them and said her lawyer was already working on it. I said that sounded about right, knowing how entitled she had been. But then he told me the good part. Corporate had reviewed their security footage and backed the store completely. She had been banned from this location for harassment and misuse of emergency services. The police report had made its way to corporate too. I asked if he was serious, hardly believing the news. He confirmed it was true. He said she had tried to post about it on social media like she threatened, but from what he heard, it backfired spectacularly. People saw right through her story and called her out for harassing someone with a disability. I had my share of crazy encounters in retail, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened when I was 20 years old. It was just 6 weeks before my 21st birthday, and the pay was terrible at the bargain store in Massachusetts called Store X, but it helped me afford my subsidized apartment after both my parents had passed away. My family situation is pretty complicated. I have 2 older half-sisters from my dad's first marriage. They're 12 and 10 years older than me. Then there's my younger half-brother from my mom's second marriage, who's 7 years younger. At the time of this story, my older sister was visiting from San Francisco where she worked as a U.S. Marshal. My younger brother was 10 and about to have his birthday. My sister offered to take me toy shopping for our little brother's birthday gift after I finished my shift. The kid's old bike had been destroyed by some idiot bus driver, so we figured we'd get him something special. Our brother tagged along too since my sister picked him up after his hockey practice. I need to mention that our store's dress code was pretty relaxed. We could wear basically anything decent: shirt, pants, clothes, shoes, and a green apron with the store logo. But that day, I'd left my apron in my sister's rental car when she picked me up around 4 p.m. Once we got to the toy store, we split up to cover more ground. I headed straight for the video game section, thinking a new Game Boy game would be perfect. My sister went to check out bikes, while my little brother stayed with me to browse the games. I was on the phone with my girlfriend, talking about our evening plans while looking at games, when I heard this voice behind me. Some woman was trying to get my attention, but I didn't turn around at first. I wasn't wearing my work uniform, so I figured she was talking to someone else. But this woman wasn't giving up. She called me a fat brat and demanded that I help her. I turned around to see this middle-aged woman with her hands on her hips, looking at me like I'd personally insulted her entire family. For context, I'm 6'1" and was around 300 pounds at the time. I've been struggling with depression since my mom died when I was 11, and I had a habit of eating my feelings. I told her that I didn't work at this store, but she insisted that I did, claiming she saw me there all the time talking with my phone. She pointed at my phone like it was some kind of foreign object. I explained that I was talking to my girlfriend, but Karen wasn't interested in facts. She was in full entitled mode now. Then she demanded to know where I was taking my little brother, pointing at him like he was being kidnapped. I explained that he was my brother, but she wasn't buying it. This situation was getting worse by the second, so I leaned down to my brother and whispered for him to go find our sister. It was our code for when things were about to get bad. He took off running without hesitation. Meanwhile, Karen kept getting more aggressive. She started moving toward me, and without thinking, I began backing away. That's when I realized she was herding me into a corner between the shelves. I was trapped with this increasingly unhinged woman blocking my only escape route. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. There was a glint of metal in her hand. It was a knife. I had a box cutter in my work bucket back at Store X, but that was useless here. This woman had a real knife, and I was cornered. My heart was pounding as I tried to figure out what to do. I'm a big guy, but I'd never been in a knife fight, and I didn't want to start now. When Karen raised the knife, a voice cut through the air like thunder. My sister shouted that she was a federal agent and ordered Karen to drop the weapon. Three things happened at once. Karen and I both spun around to see my sister standing there with her service weapon drawn and pointed directly at Karen. The knife clattered to the floor when Karen's hand shot up, and then she made a run for the exit, leaving a wet trail behind her in her panic. My girlfriend appeared with my little brother, followed by the store manager and a police officer who must have been nearby. I felt this wave of relief, but then the adrenaline crash hit me hard. My head was pounding, and I realized I'd smacked it pretty good on the shelf when I was trying to get away from Karen. My sister rushed over and asked if I was okay. I tried to answer, but my legs gave out and I collapsed right there on the floor. The next thing I remember was waking up in a hospital bed with a paramedic checking me over. My girlfriend's sister and brother were all there, looking worried sick. Turns out I had a concussion, a hairline skull fracture, and a nasty cut from hitting the shelf. I had to stay overnight for observation, but considering what could have happened, I felt pretty lucky to be alive. The whole incident was a wake-up call for me. I finally got serious about dealing with my depression and started therapy. With support from my family, I was eventually able to work full-time again and get my life back on track. My little brother, the one we were buying the birthday present for, grew up to become an FBI agent and just got engaged. My younger brother, who witnessed the whole thing, became a major in the Air National Guard, got married, and now has 5-year-old triplets. My sister continued her work as a U.S. Marshal, though she mostly handles administrative stuff these days. My girlfriend and I ended up going our separate ways about a year later, but we stayed friends. She got married, adopted 3 kids, and now manages a big electronics store with a blue logo. Karen got 2 years in prison plus 5 years probation for attempted assault with a deadly weapon, with hate crime enhancements added on. But her violent streak didn't end there. She got into a prison fight that nearly killed another inmate, which earned her an additional 15 to 25 years. She's been denied parole twice now. My husband and I just had our first baby 3 months ago. Getting here wasn't easy. We went through years of fertility treatments, lost 2 pregnancies, and honestly thought we might never become parents. When our daughter finally arrived, it felt like a miracle. My family has always been close. There's my parents, my 2 sisters, their partners, and their kids. My husband's family cut him off when he was 16, so my side is all we have. We do Sunday lunches together, celebrate holidays, and generally try to stay connected despite everyone's busy lives. My husband and I own a small accounting firm together. We're not rich, but we do okay. Since becoming parents, we've been getting our affairs in order. Wills, life insurance, the whole responsible adult package. We decided that if something happened to both of us, my parents would be the guardians for our daughter and inherit the business. They're retired but financially stable, and at 70, they're still sharp and active. So there we were last Sunday, sitting around my parents' dining table. I was holding my daughter, just enjoying the family time, when my dad started asking about our business insurance policies. I mentioned that we'd updated everything recently and had my parents listed as beneficiaries. That's when my sister decided to open her mouth. She said it was weird that mom and dad would get the money if we died since they were old and retired, while she was the one struggling to pay bills. I tried to laugh it off and change the subject, but Karen wasn't done. My mom, not noticing my discomfort, chimed in that was a baby now. If anything happened to us, they would adopt her and handle the business affairs. Karen slammed her hand on the table and demanded to know why she wouldn't be raising the baby instead. She argued that she had experience with kids and questioned why we would trust 2 70-year-olds with a newborn over her. I asked if we could please talk about something else because this was getting uncomfortable, but Karen refused to drop it. She said no, she wanted to know. She insisted that as the baby's aunt, she should be first in line if something happened to us. My other sister tried to step in, suggesting we should just enjoy lunch and move on. Karen snapped at her to stay out of it and repeated her demand to know why we thought mom and dad were better choices than her to raise the baby. I looked at my husband, who was shaking his head slightly, warning me not to engage. But Karen kept pushing, saying she was waiting for an answer and asking what made our parents so special. I asked if she really wanted to know, and she said yes. So I told her the truth. I explained that we chose our parents because she gets evicted from apartments every 6 months due to letting her kids destroy the place. I pointed out that she refuses to get a job and expects everyone else to support her. I mentioned that her kids are always filthy and half-dressed when she drops them off at our parents' house. And I brought up the fact that she got arrested last month for selling her food stamps for drug money. The table went silent. Karen demanded to know how I dared to say such things. She claimed her kids were fine and accused me of thinking I knew everything just because I'd been a parent for 3 months. I responded by asking when the last time was that she took her kids to a doctor, dentist, or even gave them a proper bath. I pointed out that her children show up at family gatherings with matted hair and rotting teeth. Karen called me a judgmental witch and said that just because I had money didn't make me better than her. I told her this wasn't about money, but about basic care. I reminded her about the time she dropped off her 3-year-old at midnight because she wanted to go to a party. The child was wearing a diaper that hadn't been changed in hours and just a t-shirt in January weather, with no shoes or coat. Karen stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. She said she didn't have to listen to this and started yelling at her kids that they were leaving. When she gathered her things, she told me I would regret this and that when mom and dad were dead and I needed family, I shouldn't come crying to her. I shot back that I wouldn't have to worry about that since she would probably be in jail by then. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. Her kids looked confused and upset, which broke my heart. It's not their fault their mother is a disaster. My other sister immediately pulled out her phone and sent me a text saying that wasn't cool and that I had gone too far. My parents just sat there looking uncomfortable. My dad suggested that maybe I should apologize, mentioning that we had the memorial dinner the next day for my uncle and cousin and it would be nice if we could all be together. My mom added that family is family and that we had lost two people on September 11th, so life was too short for fighting. But I'm not sorry. I'm tired of pretending Karen is a good mother when she's not. I'm tired of watching her kids suffer while everyone makes excuses for her, and I'm definitely not apologizing for protecting my daughter from that chaos. The next evening was our annual memorial dinner. We do it every year to remember my uncle and cousin who died in the World Trade Center. It's usually a somber but meaningful gathering where we share memories and support each other. Karen showed up anyway, probably because she knew there would be free food. She ignored me completely but made sure to tell everyone else how mean and judgmental I was being. She complained to my aunt about how I thought I was so much better than everyone just because I had money now. When my aunt asked what happened, Karen explained that I had said terrible things about her kids and called her a bad mother. I was about to speak up when my cousin, who works as a social worker, cleared his throat. He told Karen that he had been meaning to talk to her because he got a call from her kids' school the week before. The school was concerned about attendance and hygiene issues, and the nurse had seen the children multiple times for untreated infections. Karen went white when my cousin continued. He explained that he had told the school he would handle it as a family matter, but if things didn't improve, they would have to call Child Protective Services. The room went dead silent. Even Karen couldn't argue with that. My dad quietly suggested that maybe we should focus on helping the kids instead of fighting about guardianship. My mom mentioned that the school meeting was scheduled for next week and said that if Karen wanted to be part of this family, she needed to get her act together. Karen looked around the room, realizing she had no allies left. Everyone had seen through her victim act. She said that it was fine, but when we all realized what a mistake we were making, we shouldn't expect her to forgive us. She left again, but this time she didn't slam the door. She knew she was beaten. Later that night, my cousin pulled me aside and told me I was right to protect my daughter. He explained that he sees cases like mine all the time and that good parents make hard choices, even when it hurts family feelings. My other sister texted me the next day saying she had talked to mom, who said I had made the right call. She apologized for not backing me up at first. 3 weeks later, Karen's landlord called my parents asking if they knew where she went. She had packed up in the middle of the night, owing 2 months' rent, and left no forwarding address. Her kids are now staying with their father's mother in another state, and from what I hear, they're doing much better. I still feel bad about how everything went down, but I don't regret protecting my daughter. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.